You're listening to the Live Out Loud podcast with River Wynn and Michelle Flamer.
Hi, River.
Hi, Michelle.
Good morning,
Good
Oregon.
morning. And Mr. Whisker says good morning. He's sitting
Oh
on my
my
lap.
God. Hi, Mr. Whisker. I got the golden doodle next to me, of course. He's a little muffin man, and he's so sweet.
Someday we'll
Well,
have to do an episode, Pets the Podcast, where we talk about our pets as our soul
hell
pets.
yeah. Cooper is absolutely my soulmate. He's so cute.
We'll have to talk about that, how they came into our lives and all of that. I think that's cute.
Well, I have a funny, yeah, and I'll tell the story of how I thought Cooper was a girl first.
That will be a great episode.
I know. So, Pod Squad, we are so appreciative of another year. I cannot believe we're going into and I think we're going to start season 3 in January, but
In January.
our opener for season 3, right around New Year's,
Mm.
is our friendship episode. So there's some people who just jump in from the middle, like where they found us, right?
Yeah,
And a lot of times they don't go or start from the beginning. So
right.
I think just having that up, played again, I think that'll be really cool to give everyone a highlight of where you and I started our friendship.
It's so wild to me how far into this we are.
Mhm.
I was
Episode-
thinking about
this
that
is
this morning.
this is actually episode 77.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
I mean, think about our consistency.
Yeah. And how we started it, just
Mm-hmm.
I was out driving in the middle of nowhere in Oregon. And we were
That's
like,
right.
we've been on the phone for a couple of hours that day. We're like, we need
That's
to start a
right.
podcast.
Uh-huh.
Duh.
Together. Oh yeah,
And
okay,
here
that's
we
good.
are.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And it's been a beautiful journey together.
I know, I freaking love it. So 2025 is loading as we speak. The full
Yes.
moon tonight. Like that moon was
Yes.
pretty last night, but tonight's a full moon, the last full moon of the year. So it's a good time
Yes.
for us to set intentions, right?
Mm-hmm. It is.
Goddess of spirituality over there that I'm staring at.
Is that my title?
My guru goddess of spirituality.
One of my many titles lately.
I know, right? No, but sincerely, I think it's a really beautiful time for us to set those intentions for what the podcast is going to look like in 2025. And I want to set the first intention of bringing on more guests that really add value to our audience, bring something special to the table for women. I think we're going to have I'm setting the intention of having our first male guest. I don't know who that is yet, but somebody who has a keen understanding of where the divine feminine sit, where women are fundamentally going in our society.
Yes, I think it's really important for women too who are going through growth and healing, especially after divorce.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm speaking to like heterosexual women. I think it's important for them to hear about love, relationship, growth from a man's perspective when it's a really healthy dude.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that's really, really important.
I think my intention also is to really task you with finding that guest for us.
I already have some.
I know you do. That's why I'm tasking it.
Yeah.
to you.
I'm all over that.
I know you are. But I also want to bring more queer
Yes.
guests on to completely build this beautiful community. And I think you had a couple that you wanted to share for sure too.
Well, before I share that, I just want to speak to that last thing you said.
Yeah.
I think so many podcasts have such deep niches. They speak to a
Mhm.
very specific audience. And what I really love about our pod squad is that we have a very diverse audience, even
Mhm.
though it's primarily female. Like
Yeah.
we have the straight ladies, we have the queer ladies, like we have a very diverse, but they're all like, so you guys are all so creative. Like there's so many creative people in our audience.
It's
And
amazing how
so
creative they are.
yeah, and so I see a lot of our guests coming onto the pod in 2025 being creatives as well to, speak to that. I think that would be really, really beautiful as well.
I agree. I also
Yeah.
would like to start I also want us to have like maybe go either utilizing Instagram um or a website that starts to create a community of makers that we believe in,
Uh-huh.
um, spiritual facilitators,
Yeah.
um, like Kendra, who are a friend of our podcast, right? And she's been on
Yeah.
here before. Like she is starting to facilitate more spiritual retreats. I
Mm-hmm.
definitely want to start highlighting those. If you're coming out, I want to highlight our lesbian curiosity coach, Samantha Fox.
Mm-hmm.
If you need spirituality, I want to highlight Angela and others who can kind of facilitate that funnel.
Bailey. Yeah.
Bailey, depending upon what the needs of our listeners are. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's what's going to be really cool is I want to have a place where people can feel really good about spending money with people like Angela, and I love all of her bracelets, which I have on now,
Yeah. Yeah.
where people can just find good people to, spend sort of like through the holiday. I always think of the small business Saturdays, that come
Yeah.
up. And I think it's really important to continue to support small, small. And if you want to support women-owned businesses, then I want to give a space for that.
Yeah. And that segues right into what's on my list to manifest for
Yeah.
our podcast is
Yep.
that is, a website, a space, a community space. Um, we're not totally sure what that's going to look like yet, but we both know that that's something we want to grow for the podcast, a very intentional space where we can get deeper with our listeners.
Yeah, I want it
Um,
like a subscription area for
yeah,
special things that we don't talk about on the podcast.
right. More community building, I would love to see more retreats. I'd love to see just more community building intentionality in that way. Um, I also, one of the top things on my list is I would love for us to do a book club with our listeners because you and I read so many incredible books that have helped us on our journey. And
Yeah,
I get asked frequently for book recommendations um, around, divorce and growth and
I do too. Yeah.
mindset and
Hmm.
love and creativity. And I think it would just bring a new layer of value to read together and integrate and process with a group of people who are reading the same book.
Yeah, I just pre-ordered Let Them by Mel
Mm.
Robbins.
Oh, I can't wait to read that.
Oh my God, me too. So I'm
Yeah.
really excited to read that. I think it I think it ships out on like December 24th or 5th or whatever.
Hmm.
Okay. But yeah, I'm super psyched about that. And that episode with Oprah and Mel Robbins was amazing.
I haven't had a chance to listen yet, but it's on
Oh
my
my,
playlist.
it's literally everything. It really is of this time
Mm,
that there's so much codependency within the female side of things. Like we all just were brought up to fucking people please or to just put ourselves last because we're mothers. And like you
hmm.
said in your post recently, like single mothers, it's different being a single mother 24/7 than it is to be a single mother with a tiny break, even if it's, I mean, I know I'm fortunate to have like a week away from being a mom,
Hmm.
right? But, even a small glimpse is still a break, like compared to the moms who are 24/7. So,
Depends on who you talk to, though. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
that post I made was because there's a debate on that between
yeah.
moms who have their kids full times and moms who have a quote unquote break because, you know, yeah, I don't have my kids 24/7, but I know that there are moms who do get more of a break in the mental capacity sense
Mhm,
when they don't have their kids. Because yes, I don't have my children on the weekends, but there's so much that I'm dealing with that I'm
mhm,
still carrying the mental load of parenting even on the weekends.
mhm,
That yeah, I may not physically have my children present with me. I may get to sleep by myself, but the mental space, I don't get a break.
mm.
And so I think it just depends on who you talk to. I mean, because I know for me, I'd rather have my children 24/7. I would rather have them 24/7 because at least maybe then there would be some peace in our household
Yeah, well,
instead of
that's because of the dysregulation.
the
Yeah.
constant, yeah, cycle of dysregulation
Uh-huh.
and struggle that they're going through and the amount of time I actually get with them, you
Mm-hmm.
know? I don't want the break. And I always kind of feel guilty saying that because there are so many
Mm-hmm.
single moms who are like, I need a break.
Totally.
I don't want the break. I'd rather
Yeah.
have my kids. So
No,
I think it just depends on who
I
you talk
get
to.
it. Yeah, I completely hear you and get that on your level because, and I know the ins and outs that, I'm privy to a lot of the ins and outs. And so
Yeah.
that makes perfect sense where actually you being full-time mom would actually be easier on you. It would be
Yes.
less mental load in that state because, like you said, your kids would be regulated and your kids would like just lean in. They'd actually be able to relax.
Yes. But every situation's unique. So
Mhm.
it's one of those debates where I feel like you can't compare hard,
Well,
because
I
the
think it
grass is
really
always
depends
greener on
who
the other
you're,
side.
it really depends on your co-parent, right? It
It does.
really
It depends
depends
on your
on that
situation.
relationship.
Yes,
Yeah, because
absolutely.
I will say that I know for a fact our agreement, I mean, I just came back from, having a discussion with our little 13-year-old, but Carrie and I were totally on the same page. And there's nothing better than working together where she's like hiding behind, my 13-year-old's hiding behind a pillow but like looking at both of us and we are speaking the same, she now knows, like she knows that we're not messing around in that sense and that we're on the same page. And so
You're a
I can
united
relax.
front.
Yeah, I can relax because the
Yeah.
expectations have been set. I know what Carrie's expectations are. She knows what my expectations are. Kaden is on our same page. So
Hmm.
I don't know. And that's why I have, it alleviates the mental load because
Yes.
we're
Well,
both
because
on
you
the same
know
page.
that the other parent has your back. You
Yep.
know that they're safe. You know that
Yep.
your kid is well provided for, is
Yep.
loved, and there's no conflict there because you're actually co-parenting. Whereas what
Exactly.
I'm doing, and a lot of parents are doing, is parallel parenting, where there's high
Yeah.
conflict. You can't even discuss parenting. You're not on the same page. There's no consistency. The kids are not safe emotionally or physically. And
Hmm.
so,
Yeah, no,
um, you know, that's why I said you can't compare hard sometimes because
you
it really
can't.
comes down to each person's unique
It's
situation.
it's so true. And like you said, one mom may absolutely thrive being a single mom 24/7,
Hmm.
and another one might absolutely lose their mind.
Might just be totally drowning because they don't have support. They don't have good, financial access and support and stability. There's so many reasons why a single mom who has her
Yeah.
kids full time would be struggling. And that's not to say that it's not hard. I'm not saying that at all.
Oh,
Um,
totally.
just the rhetoric that being a full-time single parent is harder than being a single parent who has to share custody of their kids. I don't necessarily see that as true because I think it's so nuanced with every
Yeah.
situation.
So what other things for the podcast are you initiating or manifesting or thinking about?
Man, you know, I think speaking to that single parent thing, I'd love for us to talk more about that with different single parents who
I'd
are
love that. Yeah.
experts, in that space.
Uh-huh.
And I think, going back to the having guys on the podcast, I think, there's a couple of men that I personally know of who are coaches in the single parenting world and co-parenting world that I think would bring some really wonderful insight and tips for people. So I think that, that's something I think looking into the future would be wonderful to have the male perspective on that. Yeah, I think and creativity, like I know I said that before, but just really leaning into helping people in their creativity because like I said, we have so many listeners who are creatives, and it's a space in which a lot of people struggle deeply with their creativity, like
Yeah.
how to share it with the world, how to own their gifts, how to, get through imposter syndrome and all of the challenges that come with being a creative person. I think are topics that we can also speak to quite a bit.
Yeah, I agree. I agree on all that. I think, yeah, I just want to provide more for like, let's seek out a challenge. Let's seek out an interesting place of life and then bring a guest on that is a specialist that feels relevant for that space
Mm-hmm.
and help educate and give new tools to all of us, because
Mm-hmm.
whenever we have a guest on, you and I get something great from it also. Like
So much.
we're coming from a curiosity standpoint. So I'm asking questions and I'm hoping someone else is thinking, that's the question I would have wanted to ask. Like, I want to make sure as a host, as a co-host, that I am doing more and doing the best to my ability to bring value to someone's half hour or an hour, during the week.
Yeah, and I think that involving our audience would also be a good goal of, asking more questions on social media. What do you guys want to hear? What would help you? Do you have questions for the guests that we have coming on? And just really engaging our audience in that way so it feels like it's a collaborative endeavor,
Yeah.
you know?
And we're always open to sponsors. So if anybody has companies that would love to advertise, we would love that, as well, or to be
Yes,
a
that would
sponsor
be,
for a specific episode, like Marco Polo helped sponsor that episode of Friendship Across the Miles and
yeah,
utilizing Marco Polo. So I mean, what a fun year of conversations we've had and the
yeah.
people that we brought on. I mean, it's just so cool.
I love that we've also made some new friends out of it as well.
Yes,
Our community, like our personal community has grown because of
agreed.
this.
And I think
Yeah.
it's really cool. And I love the conversations that we have.
Yeah, I do too.
So
I'm looking
here's
forward
to,
to more of them.
I know, here's to 2025, baby.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, have a really good day. Enjoy
You
whatever you're
too.
gonna do.
Enjoy the sunshine today.
I will love that. Bye.
Bye. If you enjoyed this episode today, be sure to subscribe and share because what do we say, baby?
Sharing is caring.